Lesson 11.3, Estimating Products. There are two different ways that this lesson teaches to estimate products. The first one looks like this. We have our example 3/8 times 14. We're going to change our whole number to the closest compatible number to your denominator. Remember, a compatible number is a number that's going to work well with or be a multiple of your other number. So look at this example, 3/8 times 14. We're going to change the 14 to be a 16 because it's compatible with 8. Look at the work we did down here. We changed the 14 to be a 16. And then remember, when we're multiplying fractions, we turn this into a whole number, into a fraction, by putting a line under it and putting a 1, because any fraction that is over 1 is really just the numerator as a whole number. And then we did the trick that we talked about today of cross multiplying. So I realized that the 8 and 16 were compatible, and I could divide by 8 to both of them. So I divided this by 8 and got 1. I divided this by 8 and got 2. And then I did my normal strategy to multiply fractions. I took the numerator of the first number times the numerator of the second number and got 6. And the denominator times the denominator and got 1. So my answer is 6. The second strategy takes that same 3/8 times 14, but instead uses benchmark fractions to estimate the product. Remember, benchmark fractions are fractions that are easily identifiable, or if you were to look at a picture, you could easily see that it is either 1/2 or 1/4 or 1/3, something like that. So in this example, I thought 3/8, is close to 1/2. So I changed, instead of having 3/8, I changed it to 1/2 times 14. Once again, I put 14 over 1 to make it into a fraction. And then in this case, I did just a regular multiplication of fractions. I multiplied the numerators, 1 times 14, and got 14. 2 times 1, and got 2. And I had an answer of 14/2. But now we need to do the division to get our whole number. We don't want to have that improper fraction. So we have 14, remember this fraction bar means divided by, so 14 divided by 2. We put our numerator inside the house. So 14 divided by 2, 2 can go into 14 7 times. So my answer is 7. So both 7 using this strategy or 6 using this strategy is close to our real answer, which is 5 1/4. So these are quick ways that we can estimate fractions. Let's look at the guide to practice. Number 1, 3/4 times 19. I used the first strategy to say that instead of 3/4 times 19, I did 3/4 times 20 because I know that 20 is divisible by 4. So I did that. I divided the 4 by 4 and got 1, divided the 20 by 4 and got 5, and then I multiplied the numerators, 3 times 5 and 1 times 1. 3 times 5 is 15, 1 times 1 is 1, so I have 15 over 1, and we know that anything over 1 is really just that whole number. So we leave our answer as 15. In number 2, I had 35 times 5/9. Well, I changed the 35 to a 36 because I know that 36 was divisible by the denominator, which is 9. So I divided that by 9 and got 1, divided this by 9 and got 4. And then all I did was multiply the numerator times the numerator and the denominator times the denominator. And that gave me 20 over 1, which I know is just 20. In number 3, I had 21 3/4 times 1/5. That's a little harder because we haven't looked at any of these with mixed numbers before. But even if it was 22, I could have rounded it to be compatible with this 5 down to 20. So that's what I did. Even though it was a mixed number, I put it just back to 20 because that's pretty close. So now instead of saying 21 3/4 times 1/5, I had 20 times 1/5. I cross multiplied and said 5 divided by 5 is 1, 20 divided by 5 is 4. So then all I did was multiply the numerators. 1 times 4 is 4, and 1 times 1 is 1. And my answer is 4, because we all know that 4 over 1 is really just 4. And those are the two strategies that we would use to estimate products. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow.